A growing number of scientists who study the nature of reality are coming to the conclusion that consciousness, the mind, is the basis of reality. We are conscious beings in the conscious mind of God. That explains why we never die. We leave our bodies behind at the end of this period of our lives, then go on to the next realm, where our minds are alive and well. The originators of the theories of quantum mechanics in the 20th century knew this truth. They stated it clearly. Many scientists then and today have chosen to ignore what they were saying. In this video, I present the quotations of notable pioneers in quantum physics, stating that consciousness is the basis of reality, a concept termed monistic idealism. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. I'm the author of 8 books with the evidence you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die. Idealism is the belief that at the basis of reality is consciousness, called by some the mind of God. We are manifestations of that consciousness. The world we live in is born out of that consciousness. We're dreaming the same dream together. These are some of the scientists of the time who shared this view that reality is created by the observer. Sir Arthur Eddington was a leading astronomer of the early 20th century. His observations of stars during a solar eclipse confirmed Einstein's theory of relativity. He wrote in his book, The Nature of the Physical World, that the stuff of the world is mind stuff.
The mind stuff of this world is, of course, something more general than our individual conscious minds. It is necessary to keep reminding ourselves that all knowledge of our environment from which the world of physics is constructed has entered in the form of messages transmitted along the nerves to the seat of consciousness. It is difficult for the matter-of-fact physicist to accept the view that the substratum of everything is of mental character. But no one can deny that mind is the first and most direct thing in our experience, and all else is remote inference.
Sir James Jeans was a British physicist, mathematician, and astronomer. Jeans wrote this:
"The stream of knowledge is heading towards a non-mechanical reality. The universe begins to look more like a great thought than like a great machine. Mind no longer appears to be an accidental intruder into the realm of matter. We ought rather hail it as the creator and governor of the realm of matter."
Jeans, in an interview published in The Observer, was asked, "Do you believe that life on this planet is the result of some accident? Or do you believe there is some sort of a great scheme?" Jeans replied in this way:
"I incline to the idealistic theory that consciousness is fundamental and that the material universe is derivative from consciousness, not consciousness from the material universe. In general, the universe seems to me to be nearer to a great thought than to a great machine. It may well be, it seems to me, that each individual consciousness ought to be compared to a brain cell in a universal mind."
Erwin Schrodinger was a theoretical physicist who developed fundamental principles of quantum mechanics. Near the end of his life, he wrote a book titled My Worldview that laid out his philosophical beliefs. In his book, he endorsed a form of idealistic monism inspired by Vedantism. This viewpoint states that ultimate reality is a universal mind that all seemingly separate beings are part of. He rejected the mind and matter dualism, which states that mind and matter are separate properties of life, and that the mind influences a physical world through the body. He favored a view called monistic idealism, stating that all is mind. The physical world is a manifestation of the universal mind. Schrodinger wrote this:
"Consciousness cannot be accounted for in physical terms, for consciousness is absolutely fundamental. It cannot be accounted for in terms of anything else. The total number of minds in the universe is 1. In fact, consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings."
Max Planck has been called the father of quantum mechanics. Planck was a German theoretical physicist whose discoveries resulted in his receiving a Nobel Prize in Physics. Planck devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science in the study of matter. After all of his research, he stated this:
I can tell you as a result of my research about the atoms this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particles of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Eugene Wigner was a prominent theoretical physicist. Wigner also highlighted the connection between consciousness and quantum mechanics, noting this:
It was not possible to formulate the laws of quantum mechanics in a fully consistent way without reference to the consciousness.
During the time when these quantum physicists were working and writing, physicists were doing the double slit experiment that showed human minds affect reality. The experiment involves shining light through two slits in a board and observing the pattern on a screen behind the slits. When the light passes through the slits, it creates an interference pattern of light and dark bands on the screen, indicating that the light is behaving like a wave. But when single particles, such as electrons or photons, are fired at the two slits, the same interference pattern appears on the back wall. We wouldn't expect that. We would expect that the single photons would go through the two slits randomly and hit the back wall as two vertical lines that match the vertical lines of the slits. That isn't what happens. The particles shot one after another randomly lined up with the same interference patterns as though they were going through as waves. The really strange thing happens if detectors are placed near the slits or observers are watching the slits to see which slit the light goes through. The light on the back wall stops forming the interference patterns of waves and forms two vertical lines, showing the electrons or photons were going through only one slit at a time and causing the vertical lines in the back wall. This phenomenon is known as the observer effect. When an observer watches the slits, the light hits the back wall as particles. When no observer is looking, the light hits the back wall as waves. It's the same light, same double slits, and same back wall. The only difference is that someone is observing the slits. That finding shows that our presence and observation turns light waves into particles, which show themselves to us as objects in the world. We need the particles to enter our eyes to form images. When the light is just a wave, there is no solid objective world, only a wave with many possibilities of many different objects and worlds that have not yet formed into one definite object or world. That demonstrates that we are participating in creating reality by our presence and our observation. That can only happen in a universe made up of what the idealist describes as potential personal experiences. The world is not there until we observe it. These findings support the idealism described by the quantum physicists. We are creating this reality as we observe it, as we live in it. What that means for our lives is that we are our minds. We are creating this reality. When we stop creating this reality together, we'll go on to create another reality in another realm that we call heaven or Summerland. It's just another world, like Earth, that we will be creating together when we change our mind's focus to that world together. Our minds live forever. Only the world we experience changes. It is further proof that you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die.